disruptive companies, Airbnb has big plans for the best part of travel. Here to share with us what's next is the head of Americas for Airbnb Experiences, Riccardo Ulivi. Riccardo,
Douglas,
welcome.
how are you?
Good, good. How are you?
Good. Hi, everybody. Good morning. Thanks for coming out. It's pretty early. Appreciate that.
That's not that early.
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
So look, you were here last year, and I actually remember the launch of Airbnb Experiences,
Yep.
2016, I think November 2016, and you launched with 500 experiences
In 12 cities.
in 12 cities.
Yep.
In 12 cities. So can you give us, an update of
Yeah.
where we are now?
Oh, sorry. So in 2016, we launched in 12 cities, about 500 experiences. To date, we're in over 1,000 cities globally, and we have over 40,000 experiences bookable on the platform today.
Wow, wow.
Yeah.
And how do you? So when so in 3 years, you're growing from almost nothing to quite something. How do you? How do you do that? How do you maintain kind of quality standards when you're growing so quickly?
Yeah, so quality is our #1 differentiator. It's something that we really focus on. And so we haven't decided to expand as fast as we probably could have, because we did want to maintain that level of quality. And so to date, about 93% of our experiences have 5 stars. And so quality, again, is our #1 differentiator. It's what we really pride ourselves on. You have to apply to be an actual experience host on the platform. I think to date, we've had over 100,000 applications. So again, quality is what we are really most focused on today and what we're excited about.
Have you kicked people off the platform if their reviews don't perform?
We do. So we do have a policy where if you are not maintaining a minimum quality bar, we do remove you from the platform. And so again, that's just to protect the community, to protect the brand. So something that we're it's something that we let all of our hosts know. But again, it's very few, because a lot of our hosts are maintaining that level of quality that we are really excited about.
So now there was some news that came out this morning, which was pretty interesting. So Airbnb has led a Series C investment in Tickets. So Tickets is an online travel agency and technology company focused on the world of ticketed attractions. So I found this very interesting because my impression of Airbnb experiences is, learn how to go, experience like how to make cheese in some far-off arrondissement in Paris, or how to make hats, or or something like that. So, never saw you getting into this kind of classic conventional tourism and ticketed attractions. So, can you tell us a bit about the decision for leading that round?
Yeah, look. This is really a testament to all of you. We know that this is a massive space. It's a growing space. We're still very new. If I can do a show of hands, how many of you have been in this space for more than 5 years? Okay, what about more than 10 years? Okay, so we've been in here for about 3. So we're still so new here. And when we met with Luke and the Tickets team, what we were most inspired by was, one, the size of the market, right? We know, look at this, look at the attendees here, right? You've got over 1,000 people here to come to this conference. So it's a big market. So we're excited about that. Second, the product is really awesome, right? You get tickets sent directly to your phone, easy access, it's convenient. And third, it was the team, right? I'm not sure if the Tickets team is here. I actually met with them last year at Arrival. I'm not sure if you guys remember, but they were wearing these amazing green jumpsuits. It caught my eye from the get-go. So again, the team is really awesome, and so
Signal to folks who are looking for investors. It matters what you wear. Okay.
No, it was just their culture, right, was something that we were really inspired by and really loved. They're very direct, very straightforward. So for us, it was the product, the market, and then the people. So it was a no-brainer.
But then what about kind of getting into that space? If I go onto Airbnb today, I can't purchase Walt Disney World tickets or Universal tickets. I can't get a ticket to the Eiffel Tower. So does that mean you're kind of stepping into this space and kind of, the company and some of the executives have always, kind of derided, mass tourism, right? So.
Look, we know it's a growing space. We're really excited about it. Again, look at the attendees you've got here. This is an incredible space. we're not doing any direct integrations today. It's really just for us to keep our ears to the street, right? We've led investments in the Wing, which is the women's working stations. Resi, we led an investment last year. So we're always just keeping our ears to the street and seeing,
There's also, you led an investment in, is it Atlas Obscura? Which is
Atlas Obscura as well, exactly. So again, we're always looking to stay innovative, keep moving forward, and then with a product like tickets, with that space, again, we're not doing anything with it today, but we know that there's an opportunity there potentially down the line, so we want to at least just be
because I have seen, I go to your website every now and again.
Thank you.
So I'm trying to track and see how is the product evolving. Hey, could we put the slides up on the screen? There's one screenshot that I wanted to share. It really caught my eye, and I wanted to ask you about it. So this looks like it says must-visit landmarks. And if I look at New York here, we're talking about Central Park, the Brooklyn Bridge, Times Square. So this is hardcore, mass tourism stuff. This is what everyone does. It kind of caught my eye. This is not what I think of.
Well, just to be clear, it's not what everyone's doing, right? Our experiences are hosted by folks who have certain levels of expertise and connection. So if you look at Central Park, right, there may be things like you can go do a picnic in the park. You can maybe go do a run through the park. So it's a way to visit these landmarks through a different perspective. And again, this is just a design element. These experiences have been on the platform for a while. So there's nothing really that new here other than, hey, let's just try and merchandise this a little differently today.
But do you think in the future, could you imagine a future where Airbnb is actually, okay, I'm selling a hop-on, hop-off tour, or I am bus tour, or I am selling a ticket to the Empire State Building?
It's not on the roadmap today. However, right, when I started Airbnb 5 years ago, hotels were sort of no-goes. And then I'm not sure if many of you guys heard, last year we bought a hotel company, and Hotel Tonight. So while this is not on the roadmap today, I think it's something that we have to keep an eye on. And so there's no plans for any integrations today. There's no plans to do any sort of ticketing yet. But again, going back to the market, it's a sizable market. It's a great team and a great product. So for us, it was a no-brainer to invest.
So I want to look at, there's a couple of other screenshots I want to look at really quick, just to get a sense of the product diversity. So what was interesting to me here, so this is Orlando. And so the first one there on the left is a clear kayak tour through Rock Springs. So I looked at this. So this is actually Justin Buzzy's company, Get Up and Go Kayaking. So this is a professional tour operator here. So you are allowing professional tour companies on the platform as well as individuals.
Yeah, absolutely. Even last night, I did an experience here in Orlando. It was an LED light stand-up paddleboarding experience on one of the lakes. Again, it's run by a company. However, I don't ever talk about, oh, this company was great. What I really focus on was the host, right? I can tell you last night on the experience that I did, my host's name was Richard. We had this really deep connection about why he started the company. It's he and his wife who just wanted to spend more time on the water together. So I said, why don't we just try and turn our passion into a business? So again, we don't have any issues with operators. Some operators are some of the highest quality hosts that we've got on the platform. But it's really about, is the host providing that level of connection and access that we're really after?
So one thing that I know is important for many operators is they're also trying to build a brand. And when they work through a reseller, a third-party platform, so this is not, we don't see Get Up and Go kayaking there. This is a clear kayak tour. So why don't you put the brand front and center?
Well, if you were to click into this particular example, you'll see that they do actually market their company in the About the Host section. So the host will say, my name is Justin, I started this company, and so they are able to promote the company. But again, we really want to foster that connection between the guest and the host. That's where we really find the most transformational experiences. If you read a lot of our reviews, you'll notice it's never about the company, or it's never it was a great experience, it was fun. It's always Richard was a great host. Richard really made me feel like I belonged. So it's really about that people-to-people connection that we're really excited about and what we're focused on.
Just one of the things that has always struck me about Airbnb is, so if I rent a home on any other website, okay, I'm getting a vacation rental, I'm renting a home. But when somebody rents a home on Airbnb, they say, oh, I'm getting an Airbnb. How does that happen? Can you share a little bit of the cultural ethos? How do you create Airbnb as almost like a part of the lexicon?
Yeah, Honestly, I don't have an answer, right? It's just one of those cultural phenomenons now. We have a running joke. We have a Slack channel where whenever we hear like a cultural reference to Airbnb in media and TV, we'll like share funny clips about it. But again, like, I don't think there's a recipe, right? I mean, if there were, everyone here would say, okay, I have to do X, Y, and Z, and I'm going to have this big global super brand. I think there were just a lot of macro factors that were happening globally, culturally. The brand, I think we've always placed an emphasis on things like diversity or core values. So I think there was just a lot of really cool tailwinds that sort of merged together at once, and it developed into this amazing global brand.
Now, so one other issue that for professional operators that I know I've heard from many operators about, it's a challenge working with Airbnb is, so they have, especially larger companies, they have multiple guides, and it's always a challenge, right? Logistics of managing tours and departures and which guide is on what, whereas your focus at Airbnb is, you're going to have this experience with this host, with this individual, and that's been like a challenge. So what can you share with operators about that today?
Yeah, look, again, I just want to make sure it's very clear that like we're still so new in this space, right? We are trying to get better every month. Are there any hosts here in the audience on Airbnb? Cool, great. This is exciting to see. So, every month, every 6 months, we're releasing new features for our hosts. For example, in the past, to add availability, you had to click on every date individually. Well, when you want to add availability 6 months into the future, that's quite cumbersome. So we've rolled out new tools that allow you to manage your calendar more effectively. And so this concept of multiple hosts, right, again, this is something that we didn't anticipate. And now we're seeing, okay, we're learning from the industry. Look, to build a successful business, you can't have Douglas hosting it every single time. So nothing to share today, but we do know that that is an opportunity for us to get better. And so while we're exploring that and a number of other initiatives to improve the product, it's feedback that we're hearing, we're collecting, and we're just now prioritizing what we build and when.
So I just one more product I wanted to ask you about. This is just purely out of my own curiosity. So fourth from the left, what is inappropriate cross-stitch?
You pulled it up, so I don't know. I haven't been on that experience yet, but it's got all 5-star reviews. Looks pretty fun. Okay. Would you go on that one, Douglas?
I think I'm the one who's supposed to be asking the questions here, right? Okay, great. No, super. So, so you work with operators. If I'm an operator, how do I be effective? Like, it's kind of like, how do I get to the top of the sort order? How do I make sure that I'm delivering an experience that's going to be successful on Airbnb? And should I think about how I position my product on Airbnb differently from, okay, like when I'm setting my product up on another travel agency?
I think we talked about this a little bit last year, but two things. One, if you're offering the highest quality experience, that's the number one thing you can do. At Airbnb, we talk about your zones of influence. Your zone 1 are things that you can completely control. Zone 2 are things that you can maybe influence a little bit. Zone 3 are things that are like outside your control. For these experiences, your zone 1 is, are you offering that world-class experience? Are you taking into account your guests? Are you meeting their expectations? So that's the first thing, is just offering an incredible experience to all your guests. The second thing, right, we encourage folks to experiment, right? With the analogy that we use is your profile is like a storefront. You've got your cover photo, you've got your title, you've got your price. If you don't feel like you're getting enough traction with what you've got, try experimenting. You can maybe try dropping your price a little bit. Maybe try adding a new profile photo that gives a better sense of what it is that you're doing. Maybe try experimenting with the title. So again, it's really like a work in progress. And so we encourage all of our hosts to experiment with ways to merchandise their experience. And then on the back end, really focus on that 5-star experience.
So I do want to open up the floor to questions as well. I've also had some questions that came in from operators and attendees in advance. And there's one actually related to what you just said, which is pricing. So we had a question about kind of how should operators think about pricing? Do you provide any kind of recommendation tools, or how should they? What guidance would you give generally?
Look, you guys are the experts, right? I can't come in and tell, for example, yesterday I was meeting with a good friend of mine named Renato, he's here from Brazil, actually. He works on the experiences business. He knows the business better than I do, right? I can't tell him or her what to price their experience. It's really about value. If it's a $200 experience, that's great, right? If you're offering $200 worth of value. If it's a walking tour through downtown Orlando and it's priced at $200, there's probably not a whole lot of value there. However, if it's a experience where you're taking a Jeep into the desert or you're taking a boat in Orlando, like there's more value there, right? So pricing is something that I can't really, or my team can't tell hosts what to price. But if there's value there, I think that's the number one thing to think about. And we don't offer tips today. I'm not sure, are any of you home hosts on Airbnb? Great, I see a few hands over there. So we do offer essentially pricing tools or custom pricing for homes. Now again, I'm not saying we're doing that for experiences, but you can see as this business evolves, as we get better, as we take more feedback from the community, right, the opportunities are limitless and for us to improve.
Okay, so I have a few questions that I want to get through that have come in from operators. So licensing and regulation, there's some cities which actually require licensing. Yep. So for example, I think Vienna, Rome and different cities. What is your approach there? Are you checking kind of regulations? How do you manage that?
Yeah, so to your point, right, a lot of cities will have, if you're taking guests to a landmark or a place of interest and describing the history of that place, you need a license to be a tour guide. So yeah, we do have in the sign-up flow, if you are taking folks to, let's say, the Louvre or the Colosseum, you do need to self-attest that you do have a license for your experience. And then if it's more high risk in terms of you're operating a vehicle, operating a boat, we have a third party that we use to verify all of the correct licenses to make sure that if you're driving a boat with 15 people, hey, you better have a boating license. And so we do have a third party that verifies all that for us as well.
Exclusivity. My understanding in the past, you have told operators this has to be an exclusive Airbnb experience, so we don't want Airbnb customers mingling with TripAdvisor customers or Expedia customers or direct booking customers. Is that still?
Yeah, look, it's more on the instance, right? You can offer an experience or a tour on multiple platforms, right? Like I totally understand that you have to look out for your bottom line, but what we don't want is if you have an instance from 12 to 2, let's say, that's the one that we want to be exclusive to Airbnb. But you can offer one from 3 to 5 on any other platform if you'd like. But that's what we are looking for in terms of exclusivity.
So, and then kind of around that too, the related issue that came in is around cancellations, where basically your policy is don't cancel to operators, right? So now if let's say I'm running a food tour and I want to list my experience, I've got to contract my suppliers in advance. And if I've only got 1 or 2 people and suddenly I'm losing money on that tour, I mean that's a real challenge for my business. So what would you say to operators around that?
Yeah, look, we hear that a lot, right? It's something that we're looking at. It's a policy that we had in place early on. Same with homes as well. But now we're looking at what are the ramifications of changing that policy. But today, I totally hear you. It is tough. But that's why things like pricing are so competitive, because you don't want to be in the hole. But put yourself in a guest perspective. I think we talked about this last year as well. You're coming to Orlando from Tokyo for the first time. You're going to go on this amazing experience that you built your whole trip around, and the host cancels on you, and now you're stuck. So it's a fine balance, and something that we hear a lot from the community. And again, that's just something that we're continuing to learn from. And there's nothing to share today, but there could be some updates in the near future.
How do you just because this is I think a challenge that all of the platforms, like all of the online travel agencies have to contend with, where they see there's things that consumers want, like consumers want to be able to book last minute. They want flexibility. But then that creates challenges on the operator side and kind of the fulfillment side. I'm sure lots of other issues. Like just what's the process within Airbnb for thinking about kind of balancing, obviously you want to grow bookings and serve customers and deliver bookings to your operators, but at the same time you need to have a model that works for operators. So just what's the thought process? How do you work through some of those difficult decisions?
Look, ultimately, what we've always focused on is listening to our community, right? That's kind of how experiences started. Our community of home hosts was telling us, hey, we're already taking a lot of our guests to go to, the Louvre or the Orsay in Paris. Why don't you guys offer an experience or allow me to monetize my time taking folks to these places? So again, we were really always trying to gather as much feedback from our community. And so that's why I encourage all of you to give us as much feedback as possible, because we are still so new at this. So we are constantly improving and iterating on the product to make it easier for everyone to belong, which is our mission.
We have a question from the audience.
Hi, my name is Lauren Shannon. I'm from Arigato Japan Food Tours.
Oh, hi, Lauren.
And hi. Just going back to talking about hosts versus operators, hosts not being able to do every tour, have you ever thought about promoting teams? Because I know all of us have guides that work for us that we really love, and we'd be more than happy to create a team for an Airbnb experience where you can promote those 4 or 5 great guides to help with your product.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And so today, even if you look at many of our experiences where there are multiple guides, we just ask that they are listed. So we kind of do have like an indirect way of listing out your team. But I totally agree with you, Shannon, that having a way on the back end to essentially, make sure that Douglas is who he says. That's something that we're definitely thinking about. In our homes business, we introduced a tool a few years ago called co-hosting. And so while that's not really that transferable to experiences today, again, just thinking ahead, right? Like there are these things that we can do on the platform to make it easier for operators who've got multiple guides.
You have just one quick, I know we have an audience question, but one quick one. So on the homes feature, you have a request to book option as well as like a book, kind of instant book option. Yep. How come you don't offer the request to book option for experiences?
So we do have a request to book where if you want to request for a private instance or for a group, when you're going through the flow, there is a button that says request a private group. So we do offer that. A host has to opt into it. But if you were to go through the product, you could see when you click on the date, there is a little link that says, do you want to request to book this as like a private instance or for yourself or for a group?
Okay.
Yeah.
We have a question.
Hi there, it's Paul Melhuse from Tours by Locals. You said that 93% of your tours or your experiences are rated 5-star, which is a great metric, but our thesis is that people rate things if they're really bad or if they're really good. So, and if they're just, okay, they won't bother. So a key metric for us is the percentage of tours that are rated. What percentage of experiences are rated?
So I don't know off the top of my head. It is high, which is good. But again, I think Douglas, you shared a stat that 50% of experienced goers were not that satisfied. So while I don't know the exact number for the review rate, having that number be north of 90% for us, something that is encouraging. Again, I don't think it's great. We've solved it. We are the best. No, like there's always ways to improve and get better. But I don't know the exact number. I can get back to you on what the review rate is, but it is high. I mean, I get a notification the minute their experience is done to leave a review. So we are encouraging guests to leave reviews. So I don't have the exact number, but I'm happy to follow up with you if you like.
We have one more question from the audience.
Hi, good morning. Antoinette Gaspard here for Virgin Island Food Tours. So I'm based in St. Croix in the U.S. Virgin Islands. One of the challenges that we've had is after Hurricanes Irma and Maria in 2017, a lot of our accommodations were eliminated because they were destroyed. So that drove a lot of visitors to the islands to Airbnb, which is a great thing. But the disconnect is that we don't have experiences available in the Virgin Islands, which is a U.S. territory, or Puerto Rico. So how do we go about whether contacting Airbnb experiences, because there are a lot of opportunities for experiences to be listed on Airbnb, but we don't have the opportunity to do so, so we're missing the mark with offering that to a lot of the people that come to our territories.
Yeah, that's a great question. And so, like I said, we're in over 1,000 cities. There are still some places that we could continue to expand in. We do have experiences in Puerto Rico. I just want to clarify that. We actually just had a big community event there recently. I think, did you send me a message on the app yesterday? I actually forwarded it to the country manager for the Caribbean, and I think if you look today, you can now submit experiences in the island. So I appreciate you calling that out, and yeah, it's something that we're definitely exploring right now.
Well, that's all the time we have. Ladies and gentlemen, Riccardo, Ulivi.
Thank you, Douglas. Appreciate it. Thank you, everyone.